Well, the time is just gone 8:15 a.m. this morning, right here on News and Views, as we kick off taking a look at a secret visit by members of Parliament, and these are MPs, particularly from the Democratic Alliance and the Patriotic Alliance, a secret trip or a secret mission to this apartheid state of Israel. Now, this trip was brought to the public attention by a member of the Good Party, Member of Parliament Brett Herron, who questioned the purpose and we know the Patriotic Alliance has made no secret about their support to Israel and their leadership, even to the extent where they have actually even made a trip in 2023 and they were equally open. They were proud about it as well. And in their defense, the DA spokesperson, Willie Okamp, actually made a statement that the trip was arranged and attended by individuals in their private capacity and not through their parties. Now, what does this actually mean at a time when this genocide has now reached levels that we haven't seen before? And particularly looking at South Africans and the majority of South Africans and their position on Palestine and their position in opposing this genocide that is taking place. And here you have members of parliament from South Africa visiting the state of Israel when there are even calls for diplomatic relations for between Israel and South Africa to be cut off. Founder of Social Justice Agency, Edwin Cleophas. Edwin, good morning to you, sir. Welcome to the show and much appreciated you taking time out this morning.
Good morning. It's good to be here.
Yes, Edwin, I'm not too sure whether this has come as a surprise, where at a time like this, at a critical time, at a crucial time, we find members of parliament still, finding the energy and the courage under the most difficult circumstances for the Palestinians to still visit this state of Israel, the apartheid state of Israel. And again, it sends a message that there is support still for this apartheid state in some form, particularly when we're talking about these two parties or members of parliament that are representing these two parties, the DA and the PA.
Yeah, it's very concerning. I think from a political perspective, these two parties both belong to the GNU, and as such, they've towed a line for this majority party that brought them together, which is the ANC, who is currently the main force behind the ICJ case against this genocide Israel government. And so, when people that align to the values of a democratic South Africa come together towards building and securing a peaceful future for all nations, it's concerning that some people refuse to acknowledge one, that Israel is an apartheid state, even though the evidence is clear that it is. They refuse to accept that it is committing genocide, and they are pro-Israel to the point where they are still traveling there under these circumstances, while the neighbors, the next door neighbors, that is the original owners of the land next door, are being genocide sided. These politicians are enjoying a whatever they want to call that type of visit to this apartheid state. Now, what is the worst for me, we know that Gaten McKenzie and the Patriotic Alliance have been, like you said, very open about their support for Netanyahu and Israel. What is concerning is when we see people of color like ourselves, who our parents and our forefathers were brought up under an apartheid state, and we know the impact, not even as severe as what is happening in Palestine at the moment, but we understand what that does to a nation. And yet, people that look like us will go and visit a state like this, committing the crimes that they are. And for that, I think there is no excuse. I think President Ramaphosa need to come out strongly, and as far as I'm concerned, they should be kicked out of the GNU and they should be recused from parliament because they can't serve in a parliament of of democracy that is fighting for justice for other nations.
Yes, Edwin. And also, I think what is important to understand is what we are witnessing here is a total disconnect between what South Africans stand for, and you mentioned the government of national unity in terms of our value systems, in terms of what we actually hold dear to us, coming from an ugly past of apartheid. And here we have MPs visiting an apartheid state and also coming at a critical time where South Africa's foreign policy has come under scrutiny. We know what Donald Trump has done as well, and we know what has happened with the likes of AfriForum, and also the DA has been involved as well in talking to America as well. So it's coming at a time when South Africa is under the radar, and yet we find these members of parliament, whether in their own personal, private capacity, still having the guts to visit an apartheid state.
Yeah, I think that is also something that we have to call to question because if you are a member of parliament, do you have your personal capacity? And how do we distinguish when and where you are serving as a member of parliament, which is when you serve as a member of parliament, all the things that you do, we judge you based on your portfolio as a parliamentarian, right? And so there's rules within parliament on what type of person can be part of our parliament because we are South African government. We have rules, we have understandings, we have a past, we know how you're supposed to move if you take up that role. Now for a person that takes up that role and who is taking on this idealism, this ideology of South African peacemaker, social justice nation, fighting against these big countries like Trump and saying to Trump, we will not bow down to your bullying and we will not reverse this case against this genocidal Netanyahu and Israel. How do we allow people like this to then represent us in parliament and go do things like this where they visit in our party state? Now, a fact finding mission that they claim to be on in their personal capacity, you don't need to go and stay in hotels in Israel and have meetings with Netanyahu's administration in order to know what is happening in Palestine. It is well publicized. If you make even the slightest effort, you can get educated very quickly and schooled on it. But if you have an interest in that country and in that administration because you have a sick desire to show them support and love because of what they're doing, then you would take a personal trip to go and understand whatever it is that you want from them. But in any situation, there is no scenario where this is acceptable, and there's no scenario where this can be justified, whether in personal capacity or in a professional capacity. What is very clear in this instance is we are in a country that is being attacked internationally because of our stance in this regard. And the only people that should be deployed to go speak to foreign countries on our foreign policy and how we move forward is people that have been publicly assigned to do it by the president of our country. If you were not sent by the president, and you have gone at your own volition and you have gone for your own purpose, it means that you are now a character that is acting against the state of South Africa. And then you are definitely busy with some form of treason, and that need to be looked at. But it cannot be. We have to come out with a stronger hand because we see AfriForum, like you said, we see Solidarity. We saw all these right wing white supremacist organizations coming to the fore, emboldened by Trump and that stupidity. And now they're coming out and doing things that they would never have done under any other circumstances because it is counter revolutionary and it's against the state of South Africa. And so we hope and pray that our president will definitely act and show us that there is some master behind these sometimes too slow to act condition.
Yes, I do understand what you're saying, Edward, and that has been the criticism against our president, somewhat of a lame duck at some point in time, and not decisive enough. But we've also seen statements come out from the spokesperson for Ronald Lamola saying that international relations was not informed about the visit. But also at the same time, what does this say about the leadership of these two parties, the DA and the PA? Gayton McKenzie has made no secret about him even wanting to take his family for a holiday when the time actually arrives to Israel. And, with us Muslims having just come out of the month of Ramadan, we know that many people go to Jerusalem, they visit the Al Aqsa Mosque as well. But we've also heard of many cases where people were actually turned away at the airport and they were not even allowed in. And here you are going for a religious visit. It's supposed to be the Holy Land. It is the Holy Land at the end of the day. And then when you have leaders like Gayton McKenzie saying that I want to take my family, and I'm sure he will be welcomed with open arms. And again, yeah, we talk about hypocrisy, we talk about double standards being applied.
Absolutely, and that double standards have been going on for far too long because we live in a world where we have different religious ideologies, beliefs, and whatever drives us according to our belief systems, right? Whether you Muslim, Christian, Jewish, regardless of what it is that you have selected to follow. However, that determination does not trump one or the other. We are supposed to live in unity and in peace with one another, and we should grant each other the space to live as a nation, as a people, as a whole, without having the burden of also subserving under another religion. So, what is happening here with Gaten McKenzie, and I think this is also where I am hoping as a theologian, because I am a qualified theologian who has studied religion formally and who is qualified. I'm hoping to bring this cleansing of this idea in our people, where the Israel of today committing genocide against the Palestinian people are the same Israel of the Bible and the people that God has sent. And that's why this Gayton McKenzie, who clearly lacks the education in that space, and others who he has now influenced, come with this argument that this is God's people, we need to do this. It's absolute nonsense. Whether you live in Palestine or you live in Israel, you are all God's people. The Palestinians have more right as to equal right on that land to build and to be a nation on their own. And so none of this double standards and madness that have been perpetrated there can be accepted or be transferred to our people with misunderstanding. And it goes on even further, where everybody is very clear that wants to have this argument with you about the 7th of October. Everybody knows the date, everybody knows what happens, but they do not even understand one, the Nakba and where that comes from, and the history of how the 7th of October have been the daily lives of Palestinians for decades. And so it's a consistent misinformation and a distribution through social media and the popular media that are brainwashing people with wrong information, which they then take to the polls to give people like Gayton McKenzie power to continue to do these things. That is, again, like I said, it's counter revolutionary and it's counter to the democratic South Africa that is fighting for peace and justice for all nations.
Yes, and also, Edwin, I think just coming back to these two MPs that made this visit, the fact of the matter is the damage has been done. We've heard about an 11-minute video clip that was posted on Facebook and subsequently deleted, means absolutely nothing. The fact of the matter is you were there, you posted this video, you posted pictures, and at the end of the day, you were there. So it's no amount of deleting or on social media or any form of cover up is actually going to justify what these two MPs have done.
No, Ashley Scholz, who is Gayton McKenzie's right hand man in Parliament, there's no way he has gone to Israel on this visit, whether in personal capacity or professional, where Gayton is not aware of this, right? And so he has this Achilles heel where he likes to drink alcohol and then make videos and say a lot of things that is inappropriate on social media. And we are fortunate that he has that personality and that characteristics, because if it wasn't for that, we might not have known what exactly was going on to some extent with this trip. And so he has exposed this, and like you say, you can delete the video, but we already know what you did and why you were there. I think the bigger question now is because Gayton McKenzie, um, whether he's going to come out publicly admitting this or accepting this, he needs to, if he wants any credibility to be bestowed upon him, his party, and his position within the GNU, he needs to get rid of Ashley Souls out of Parliament and out of the leadership of the PA, for the structure of saying at least at a minimum we are taking action because this member was out of order. If there is no such thing happening, and it's not just him, the DA need to do the same as well. Whoever their delegates were in their personal capacity or not, if they are truly 100% behind the GNU and they stand for the ideals of South Africa, which is to fight for justice, peace, and the existence of all nations without the oppression of another, then they need to show us the heavy hand of taking action against these members and getting them out of parliament, and getting them out of our leadership and our parliamentary structure. And that is the call that we need to see from all of them. Otherwise, like you said, there is no reason for us to give them any further credit or credibility based on a retracted video. The damage is done. The chickens has come home to roost, as they say, and now we need to see action. We need to see action from the president, and we need to see these parties claiming to be part of the GNU to take action against these members, because what they have done was out of order. It was against the state of South Africa, and they need to see all the actions that is capable and possible through parliament and other structures to get them out of their leadership positions.
Well, Edwin, what we are hoping for is for pressure to be put on the president by political parties, by individual members of parliament, because we are led to believe that the actions and the responsibilities of MPs fall under the jurisdiction of the Speaker of Parliament. And this is what we're actually hoping to see, what action the Speaker will actually take. But again, it does require other members of parliament to raise this issue, and also, for people like ourselves as well to lobby members of parliament to take this issue up, because this is a serious matter.
No, absolutely. I think Brett Herron, to start off with, the Good Party, um, uh, uh, I have no personal love for them at all. But I think when they bring a topic like this to the table and they can push it forward within Parliament, we absolutely support that 100%. And we hope that there are more politicians in Parliament that is willing to take this argument forward and to fight on behalf of those of us who are sitting on the outside and who are publicly, as we are doing in this conversation, stating that we oppose this behavior. And so, hopefully, as you said, through the office of the Speaker, they can highlight the problematic perspective that we have shared here of these parliamentarians going to Israel and how that affects us fighting for the Palestinian people to be removed from this yoke of oppression. And so hopefully, and we look, our politicians, as you see with the vet vote, today they are pro Palestine and fighting very hard publicly. And tomorrow, if somebody makes the right deal, you'll hear them saying something different, because our politicians are not committed to justice and to the people. But we hope in this instance they will definitely come to the party and show us that they will not accept this type of counter revolutionary behavior from members of parliament that actually signs an oath to uphold the state of South Africa and its constitution. And in that constitution, we say that people's lives and independence, whether here or otherwise, need to be respected and protected. And so we will hold them accountable to that at bare minimum.
Yes, Edwin, just moving away from the MPs and just I've been handed a note with regard to an online discourse from Ruins We Rise and talking about Palestine, about Palestinian healing, resistance in the face of genocide with internationally renowned. We're talking of the UN Special Rapporteur, Francesca Albanese. And just tell us about this discourse and about this event.
Yeah, so a colleague of mine, Kiara Witry, will be hosting Francesca on this interview. And again, it's about bringing a perspective to people so that they get a deeper understanding of the reality of what Palestinians are facing, and to get a personal account. And Francisca definitely have the insights to that, and Kiara will be interviewing her. And I think just to give you the concept behind what we are saying here is that healing and resistance are two inseparable facets of Palestinian survival in the face of ongoing genocide, displacement, and historical erasure. The trauma inflicted since the Nakba has not only been generational but continuously reinforced through systemic violence, occupation, and global inaction. Healing is not merely an emotional or psychological process, it is a political necessity tied to justice, accountability, and the right to self determination. Resistance, in turn, is both an act of survival and defiance, manifesting through legal battles, academic discourse, cultural preservation, and grassroots movements. And as Palestine remains at the heart of global discussions on decolonization and human rights, understanding these interconnected themes are crucial for envisioning pathways towards justice and liberation. And I think that is the clear message of what we're trying to achieve with this conversation. And the details will be shared, and people can join in on this conversation because we cannot, for one moment, let our foot off the hook or the petrol, because this is something that we will only stop once we know that all Palestinians is free to exist without the yoke of oppression from this apartheid state of Israel.
Ye- Yes, Edwin. In fact, we would appreciate you sharing these details with us because I see it's taking place on Monday, the 14th, at 4 p.m. So, and this obviously is of huge interest to us as well. So please do share these details with us. But for now, we thank you. We do appreciate you taking time out, as always, at Salam Media. You know, our gratitude to you, Edwin, for taking time out with us this morning as well. All the best to you, sir.
Thank you, and thank you for the good work that you do. Take care.
Thank you. Edwin Cleophas joining us this morning, and I just see two comments that have come through as we were talking with Edwin. It came from Costa Tees talking about treason is treason. Zionists are trying to turn Cape Town and into Little Israel, and saying also they are creating a border around Western Cape through Minister Schreiber with the University of Cape Town and Unit 8200 of Mossad of Israel. Well, thank you for those comments, Costa. Right now, we're going to go for a quick break. We come back and we will be focusing on Pakistan and what is taking place on the border with regard to Afghan refugees.